Hello there ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another video. So today we're going to take a look at healing in World of Warcraft. There are lots of different ways to heal across the entire range of healing classes that we have. That could be direct heals through the priest, that could be heal over time through the druid, and that could be AoE heals through the shaman. And each class has situations where it really shines. There may be patches and times where the heals aren't as powerful as other ones, however the basics of each class does its role properly, and that is to well heal. We'll talk about which classes do best at what throughout this video. So imagine you've never healed in an MMO before. At least you've never healed in WoW. So where do you begin? Well, first off I'd make sure that you want to heal. It's something which I would recommend giving a go, as I think a lot of people think it's harder than it actually is. The next thing to decide is what kind of content do you want to do. All healers can heal all content, but as I said before, some healers do better in different situations. So the Paladin. The Paladin is more of a single target healer rather than an AoE one. It makes up for that through the strong single target heals, which makes it a perfect tank healer. It's also really good in small groups, making it unbelievably powerful in Mythic Plus dungeons. As a Paladin healer, you use the Holy Light to heal your allies, and as a plate wearer, you get up and close personal with bosses, and make sure that your near allies get all the holy healing using things such as Beacon of Virtue to heal 5 targets and share out the heals that you cast. This can maintain your entire group's health to a high level. It's especially good in weeks where the affixes deal strong amounts of damage. Unfortunately, most of your heals have a cast time, meaning you have to stand still a lot. But because you're sharing out the healing, you don't need to cast as many times as you normally would with other classes. The Paladin is also really strong in raids. Your raid leader will probably task the Paladins in your group to make sure the tanks don't die. I really enjoy the Paladin. I've also found that it's really good in PvP battlegrounds, as keeping the flag carrier alive is obviously really important. The Paladin also uses abilities which can nullify slowing movement spells, which is really helpful in PvP. The Paladin in general is a good caster pick, as you're also able to tank and DPS as well as heal, meaning if your group needs a tank or DPS, you're ready to stand up to the mark. And unfortunately, some of the other healing classes that we're going to talk about don't have the ability to do so. The Restoration Druid was very powerful in Legion, and even though they may have taken a hit in Battle for Azeroth, most raid groups and professional Mythic Plus dungeoners use the Druid because of its heal over time effects, meaning the Druid can cast an ability that will heal the target over a course of time, allowing the Druid to do other things. That may be dealing damage, slowing adds, or concentrating on healing another target. But it's not just Mythic Plus dungeons. The Druid also has a large range of great cooldowns, such as Tranquility, which is one of the most powerful cooldowns throughout the entire healing classes in raid healing. Having those heal over times is very important. It allows the Druid to be able to move a lot, meaning it may dodge mechanics and contribute a small amount of damage to the boss. The restorations also have a cool tool called Innovate. Innovate can be cast on themselves or other healers, allowing them to cast as many spells as possible in a certain amount of time, which costs no mana. This is very useful as mana management for healers is very important. Unfortunately, the Druids don't have many direct heals, and saving allies from near death one at a time can be very difficult for them. However, like the Paladin, they can maintain a high amount of damage for most of their allies. Next is the Discipline Priest. They're probably the most different out of all of the healing classes, as to heal as a Discipline Priest, you have to deal damage, which sounds strange, but you use things like Atonement. Atonement is cast on allies, and when the Discipline Priest deals damage through spells such as Smite and Penance, it heals its allies. Discipline Priest is very useful, as unlike the other healing classes, it's able to move a lot, meaning that standing still isn't a problem. Discipline Priests seem to have been used a lot more in Battle for Azeroth, especially in the current raid of the Eternal Palace, on bosses such as Zakul and Ashara, where movement is really important. Unfortunately, with Discipline Priests, mistakes are more punishing compared to other healers. Discipline Priests are also weak in burst spot healing in a raid setting, and reactive raid-wide emergency heals are limited compared to the other healing specs. However, with that significant damage without sacrificing healing, Discipline Priests aren't likely to be declined when trying to join a raid, and in Mythic Plus dungeons. I personally feel like the Discipline Priests shine in PvP, not only healing the people around you across the battlefield, but also contributing that DPS on destroying the other faction, where most of the other healers would have to stop healing to deal that damage. The Discipline Priest doesn't. Now the Monk is a strange one. They have some of the strongest single target healing in the game. They are incredibly mobile throughout a combination of movement abilities and spells that they cast while moving. Yes, they are very tanky and have access to 2 separate personal defensive cooldowns. They are also very good in things like dungeons because they provide strong crowd control options. However, the Monk has quite weak burst healing out of its revival, its strongest cooldown. And the mana management can be very difficult for new players to pick up. This isn't a class which I would recommend using a boost on, as I feel you'd need to learn the class and your abilities and manage them in a certain way. If you are purely healing as a Mistweaver Monk, it can be very hard to deal significant amount of damage unlike the other healers. The Monk was a spec which I was really looking forward to playing in Battle for Azeroth, and in Legion it was unbelievably powerful. I'd say it was nearly as powerful as the Druid. Every single raid group wanted a Monk in their group. But I'd have to say, after actually making them and playing them, I was a little bit disappointed. And like the Druid in this expansion, I've kind of left it alone. It's something which I will look into the future, as I think many changes could happen to make it unbelievably powerful again, and I'm not saying that it's not useful. It can be very useful. The Monks don't have many cooldowns for all those oh shit moments, and the dungeons can be very disheartening when playing a Monk, as you can't really do anything at all. The Monk is one that I would recommend in PvP though. Being able to move as well as cast heals is very useful, as you can keep up with the group without standing still and allowing someone to attack you. Its crowd control abilities can also help you in PvP, allowing you to stop and silence enemies, giving your group the upper hand in certain fights. It is one I would certainly take a look at. However, be aware it is very hard to get good at the Monk, but don't be scared of it. If you want a challenge, I jump right in. So here's the one that I main. I've played the Restoration Shaman since I created my North American account, and you'd be surprised it wasn't the first healer that I actually started playing, but oh god I love it. Even with the nerfs, when Blizzard try and make it the worst healer in the game, I'll always stick with it. It excels with burst healing and sustained stacked group healing with those massive AoE spells. It can cast while moving if you're using Spirit Walker's Grace. Its unique powerful healing tools such as Spirit Link Totem, Ancestral Protection Totem and Astral Vigor are unbelievably powerful in all types of content, but it also has great non-healing tools like Windrush Totem, something which can increase your movement speed, or Wind Shear, which can interrupt, Purge, which can dispel an enemy, or Tremor Totem, something which can nullify fears, Earthbind Totem. The list goes on. It's so universal. Unfortunately, the Restoration Shaman kind of loses its way in Mythic Plus because of its mediocre single target heals, and it doesn't really have many tank cooldowns. And unfortunately, if the entire raid has to spread out across an entire room, it's not great at healing. Mobility isn't great, as most of your heals have to be cast while you're standing still, which can get you killed. I have evidence of that, and unfortunately, apart from its one high damage reduction spell, Astral Shift, it's not very good at staying alive. But you can get an entire group stacked up on one spot, on one boss, with them dying, with your Mastery Deep Healing, which can make you more powerful. When people are at lower health, especially with Spirit Link Totem, you are a god. When you drop that Spirit Link Totem and everybody's about to die and you bring everybody back to life, you are the god of all healing, and that's your time to shine. Unfortunately, it's your only time to shine, but that could mean a kill or a wipe on a boss that you've spent 8 hours on. And that's the moment when your entire group kneels before you and says you're the best healer in the game. The last one is the Holy Priest. Most MMOs have the Holy Priest in some sort of way. If you're new to healing and you've read through all the others and you kind of feel like they could be hard, the Holy Priest is probably your best bet if you want to heal, but aren't up to the challenge in learning how in-depth you can heal. I'm not saying it's simple, but I'm saying it's the simplest. Its basic direct heals mean anyone can really start playing Holy Priest. I've actually revived my own Holy Priest, and playing it's really powerful in Mythic Plus dungeons. It excels at reactive burst healing. It has a unique cooldown based style of healing, providing regular bursts of healing. Its powerful cooldowns with Apotheosis and Word Power Salvation talents, however, it has no immunities or damage reduction defensive abilities. It is not very good at moving while healing, as a majority of spells have a cast time, and the reliance on short cooldown abilities can hurt the sustained throughput, especially in single target heals. But when you think of healing in most games, the Holy Priest is one which you think of, which means it's probably the one, if you're not used to healing, you'd want to pick. And you never know, you might get used to it and find that you love healing and move on to a different class. But don't think it's not good, because sometimes the Holy Priest is the one that keeps you alive. And they're all the healing classes. I have my favourites, you might have your favourites, and it would be great to know what your favourites are. So let me know in the comments below. And if you have any reasons why you think I'm wrong and why certain healing classes are better than the ones I've said, again, let me know in the comments below. If you'd like a more in-depth review on any of the classes, again, let me know in the comments below. And you know what? Even if you've just watched this video, let me know in the comments below. And until next time, keep your group alive and keep on healing.